This case considered the issue of provocation, and whether a direction to a jury in relation to a man's addiction to glue sniffing was correct, and whether or not the man's addiction could be taken into consideration as a characteristic for the purposes of the reasonable man test for the defence of provocation. In this case, a man was convicted of murder after he stabbed and killed a man who had repeatedly taunted him about his addiction to glue sniffing. The man raised a defence of provocation, and the judge allowed this defence and directed that they could take into account the man's glue sniffing addiction. However, the man argued that the judge's direction did not make specific reference to the reasonable man and was not sufficient, and effectively excluded the characteristic of his addiction for the purposes of the reasonable man test. The man's appeal was dismissed, but the court discussed the issue of the characteristics of the accused to be given to the reasonable man for the purposes of the test of provocation. The central issue for the court was whether or not the jury